Good evening. Hello. Can we start the meeting? Thank you. I'll start tonight's meeting. Good evening. I'm Kevin Jones, the Democratic Services Officer who services the South of the Borough Neighbourhood Committee area. The first item on the agenda tonight is the appointment of a chair and a vice chair for the 2026-27 municipal year. I understand that there's a nomination for Councillor Diane Dunstan. Councillor Lorraine Dunstan as chair of this committee for the 26-27 municipal year. Can I have a proposer?
Yes.
Councillor Griselda Kirsch is the proposer. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Andreas Kirsch, thank you. Thank you. I take that as unanimous.
Agreed.
Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Dunstan. You're duly elected chair of this committee. Then we come to the vice chair. I understand Councillor Griselda Kirsch has been nominated as vice chair. Do we have a proposer? Councillor Dunstan, and a seconder, Councillor Grocott. Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Kirsch. Sorry, I have to say Councillor Griselda Kirsch. You're duly elected vice chair. Councillor Dunstan, you're in the chair.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and thank you, colleagues. Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of South of the Borough Neighbourhood Committee at King George's Fields Indoor Bowling Club. Thank you very much for hosting us this evening. A particular warm welcome to a great number of people in the audience this evening, so welcome, and to those joining us online this evening. My name is Councillor Lorraine Dunstone and I'm the newly re-elected chair of this committee. In the event of an emergency, the emergency evacuation procedure is to leave by one of the fire exits and gather in the car park alongside this building. Anyone requiring assistance should remain in their seats and an officer will assist you from the building. Anyone who wishes to follow the agenda from their tablet or smartphone can do so now by going to www.kingston.gov.uk and follow the links from your council on the homepage. Then go to council meeting calendar and you'll find this meeting on today's date. There is free public Wi-Fi here for anyone wishing to follow the agenda, and the Wi-Fi codes are on the sheet at the entrance. Sorry? Oh, they're on the table, the Wi-Fi codes. This meeting is being filmed for broadcast on the Council's YouTube channel, and an archived version will be available to view on the channel shortly after the meeting finishes. The broadcast will be suspended during any adjournments in proceedings and if the committee resolves to consider information as exempt business. Members are reminded that microphones must be switched on and spoken into clearly for the broadcast. The microphone for public speakers, which is here at the front, does not require switching on. Please could everyone present in the meeting also ensure that their mobile phones are switched off or in silent mode for the duration of this meeting. I will start by inviting members to introduce themselves, but firstly, can I welcome Councillor Joe Barker to the Council and South of the Borough Neighbourhood for your first meeting, so welcome. So if I can start from my far right-hand side. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Mark Bain, King George's and Sunray Ward.
Hello, I'm Councillor Helen Grocott, Councillor for King George's and Sunray Ward.
Hello, I'm Councillor Barker for Hook and Chesington North.
As I've mentioned, I'm Councillor Lorraine Dunstone from Hook and Chesington North Ward.
Good evening, Griselda Skirsh, Chesington South and Morden Rushett.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andreas Kirsch and I'm Councillor for Chesington South and Morden Rushett.
Councillor Shahrukh Mirza, Councillor for Chesington South and Morden Rushett.
Thank you, colleagues. We also have officers in attendance who will present reports, and I'll introduce them at the relevant agenda items. Just one plea for this evening, if we could be nice to our neighbourhood manager down there on the, at the very end, as this is his last meeting before he retires. So we've got we're going to be nice this evening. So we'll go to item 2, public questions. The next agenda item is public questions, and we have a period of no more than 30 minutes during which any resident of the borough or representative of organisations operating within the borough, other than members of the council, may ask questions on matters relevant to the committee. We like to encourage questions to be submitted in advance so that officers have the opportunity to answer them, although this is not absolutely necessary. We'd ask that you keep your questions as concise as possible, and if you need to preface the question with a statement, please be very brief and to the point. So we have, first of all, we have 3 questions from Mr. Robb, if you'd like to come forward. Thank you.
Good evening. It's first name Rob, surname Rob, Chesington District Residents Association. Question number 1. Following on from our leader of the council statement at the last meeting that they're working on it, what is the update on the Royal Borough of Kingston's Council implementation of Section 26, Article 4, when it comes to planning permission for HMOs? At this time, 2/3 of the boroughs of London have this safeguard in place. Yet again, RBK lags behind everyone else, leaving us vulnerable to and attractive to developers.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. Councillor Kirsch.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the question. The Council has committed to securing the implementation of an Article 4 direction, as I mentioned before, removing permitted development rights in respect of the conversion of properties into smaller HMOs. This was covered at length in a debate within the Council's Place Committee in February 2026, which noted that the Council has already completed work to develop the evidence base to support an Article 4. Officers were directed to continue this work, and the Council has subsequently made additional budget available to enable the recruitment of an additional officer to lead on the work. We anticipate that Article 4 will be developed alongside the completion of the local plan, and we are expecting an update on progress in September 2026 at the Place Committee. So, as I mentioned before, it's all in train. We again make the firm commitment at the Place Committee. We already done work for the evidence base, and we recruited an additional officer leading on the work, so it goes alongside with the local plan, and we should be ready by the end of the year.
Oh, at last, thank you. Number two, I'm trying to be concise. Can the Leader of the Council confirm if RBK has applied for the green flag status for church fields? I have had first-hand experience of antisocial behaviour at this location, and along with feedback from residents in association with the Safer Neighbourhood team, we feel it does not fulfil the criteria at this juncture. It must be a safe and secure environment. It needs investment from our council before green flag status can be applied for. Maybe you can fly the flag at half-mast for the time being.
Thank you, Mr Robb. Councillor Cash.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the question. The Green Flag Award is an internationally recognised quality standard for parks and green spaces. Awards are assessed independently against a range of criteria, including welcoming place, environmental management, maintenance standards, community involvement, sustainability, safety and security. Church's Recreation Ground was awarded a Green Flag status in 2024 and has been re-entered into the scheme for 2026. The results for the 2026 awards will not be announced until July this year, and therefore the outcome is not yet known. The Council remains committed to participate in the Green Flag Award scheme as part of its wider efforts to maintain and improve the quality of its parks and open spaces. The Council takes reports of antisocial behaviour seriously. Any incidents reported to the Council are referred to the antisocial behaviour team, who work closely with local police teams and other partners to investigate concerns and take appropriate action where necessary. Furthermore, we are constantly in touch with the local police team. They are aware, they are doing what they can. And yesterday I also have taken it up with the Borough Commander in my regular quarterly meetings with the Borough Commander to see how much support he can give additionally our team to tackle these issues. By no means, Mr. Bob, there are any reason for flying the flag on half-mast. I hope we get it rewarded again, because it's an asset for our communities. It's widely used by the community. Yes, there is sometimes antisocial behaviour, but we are addressing this. Many people put a lot of effort in the park to make it a welcoming and brilliant space, which is loved by our residents. Our contractors, Glendale, do a great job in keeping the park well kept and litter-free. And we have residents groups and residents who do a lot in terms of planting and the wildflower meadow. Many residents using the playground, using the sports equipment. You have many people walking their dog, people being there daily, and it's well used. So this is an asset for the community, and it's a recognition for work which is going on. The Chessington Runners Club is using it constantly, and many more. So we do our best, and I hope we will get the status again, and we address any antisocial behaviour and other things together with the police.
Well, you must be talking to a different place, because I've been there, and I actually went and visited some residents with a police officer this week, right? And they've got loads of evidence of drug taking, drug dealing. There's electric bikes.
So, Mr. Robb.
Well, he rambled on.
Yeah, no, and I'm just going to make a statement.
Yeah.
My understanding is from the local police. So while residents may have something, they're not reporting it to the local police.
No, we're going into that.
So they need to do that.
Yeah. But we're also going into that because the method of giving the information to the police is not very good, and we raised it at the Safer Neighbourhood on Monday that they need to change the system, make it easier for people to. But at the moment, are we able to actually write to the green flag people to put our side of the story?
If you wish to,
okay,
it's a public body that I understand.
We'll do that then, yeah,
That's fine, thank you.
My third question,
Question
3. What is the Leader of the Council and the RBK strategic team and council officers doing about RBK's long-term failure to have an adequate enforcement team? and what is happening with the issues in Green Lane regarding the land at the rear of Kenwood and the Chesington Question Centre, where the council has sat back and allowed these areas to be destroyed. We're about to embark on an era where our green spaces will be under more pressure than ever, and we as residents feel that those in charge do not give us confidence and that they are the right people, going on by their past record, defend our communities and our green belt. If I can just say, in 2018, on the 1st of December, on a Saturday, I met Sir Ed Davey with the people from Green Lane in 2018, telling them about the abuse of the land at back at Kenwood. That was in 2018. And if some of these people saw those pictures I've just given you now, they would be shocked.
Thank you, Mr Robb. Councillor Kirsch.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the question. The recruitment and retention across public sector planning has been recognised as a national issue for some years. The Planning Service has recently undertaken a recruitment programme which has successfully recruited 6 permanent officers due to commence over the next months. While planning enforcement is a discretionary function, the Council recognises the need to enforce against planning breaches. And we have the backlog on outstanding number of cases in our enforcement team has been reduced massively over the last couple of months. Planning breaches taking place at the land rear of Kenwood have been actively pursued to the courts over the course of the past year, and the Council has been successful in holding the responsible parties to account. Any illegal works have been halted, the developers have been ordered to re-establish the land to its previous condition, and the Council has taken action to cover these costs. And I hand over to the Neighbourhood Chair, who has additional information on this as well.
I'd love to be the Neighbourhood Chair just for the meeting.
I looked and panicked then because I don't have any additional information. Richard.
Just a brief update for Green Lane, Rob, as we discussed. It has been very long going and the community have suffered. We recognise that. Last year, I'm glad to say that we resurrected and went to court and got an order against named people at that venue. And earlier this year, the occupants were given 6 months to return the land to the state that it was in, as mentioned by Councillor Kirsch. And that runs out on Monday the 15th. So we would expect the second phase of action from the council to be undertaken then. And to reassure you on that and to reassure residents, the legal team have already been in contact with me prior to Monday. They actually spoke to me yesterday, so there will be some action. So.
Can I just say for the residents who live next door to it, and one of them is disabled, sort of badly disabled, their lives have been misery since 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mr Robb. I have one more question relevant for this period of time, and that's, sorry, is it Harley? Pally, sorry. If you'd like to come forward and ask your question.
Okay. Hello? It's on, okay. Wasn't sure. Okay, so my question is for Councillor Helen. I have emailed and I haven't heard anything back, but I wanted to know what's happening about the findings of the 2026 parking survey and when will it be released?
I'm going to pass that over to our engineer officer because Eunice and I discussed that the other day.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Through the chair. We have a section 106, which is that mean we need to do a review to the survey, to the parking situation in the area. But that is something we need to ask the consultant to do it. We don't do it ourselves at the council. So we have passed a request 3 times, and we're still waiting for them to come back and let us know. The minute I know, I will inform the members, and members will inform you automatically. Thank you.
Yeah, my problem is that we need to speed on it now because phase 2 is going to start work soon. We need to know as residents what's going to be happening down our road. At the moment, it's chaotic. You know, it's like you're taking your time about this survey, but we really need to push on it. We really do. Because I don't want to be in a situation where we end up with the next phase of the buildings happening and we've got more issues. We've got more issues. We need to push on it. How many times? You've chased it 3 times. We need to We need to move on it, really.
Yeah. I think, can be frank here, is I don't think the result is a major issue here. Because the result, it kind of shows we do have a parking. So the point is, the people who look after this road, they need to come up with a scheme, which is a parking scheme, and to allow only the resident to park there. I'm afraid that's not within RBK's, because it's not RBK's land. So it's up to TfL. I don't know why they need to wait for the survey. If the residents are willing and they want a parking scheme, go and consult you, and if you are happy with that, implement the scheme and do it. So the survey is just to support the point, but if you want to push things, go ahead and let them consult you on the scheme now. And if you are willing to pay for the parking, that's fine. It's your choice, your call, and it's up to them to do it. I'm afraid Kingston Council cannot put a scheme there.
This is a different story to what I heard, because when we originally started this, we were told that we have to wait for this survey to take place to see the difference in the way the parking used to be in 2016 and how much it's changed now. So unless this survey happens, we know it's changed. We all know that it's
I think that's what UNIS is actually agreeing with you
Yeah.
in that yes, it has changed.
Yeah.
And I think what we'll do is when we get to the TfL update, perhaps James and his colleague Catherine can respond to you from that point of view. But I think as far as RBK highways are concerned, they agree there needs to be something done. And so now we've got to, whereas we're trying to push for the survey to be done, but we know there's a problem.
Yeah,
So what we'll do is when we get to the TfL item, I'll ask you to come up and bring the question forward. Is that all right?
Yeah, but the problem is, this is what I wasn't told. I was told we have to wait for the survey.
Well, let's have that conversation when we have the TfL update, and we can get an update from them directly. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So we'll go to item 3, petitions. I have no notice of intention to submit a petition this evening. Sorry, Councillor Grocott.
Chair, did we not have questions from Ms Harris?
For TfL. TfL
Okay,
related.
some of them were directed to us. Did you want to?
I think
Did you want us to answer them?
I think if we can go to get with doing all the TfL together,
They're not related to TfL. They were related to RBK, but we'll take your direction.
And I assumed they were all under the TfL banner. But if you'd like to come forward, Vicky, then please do.
Well, that's the problem with my question. We're not sure whether it's TfL or RBK. That's part of the issue. I'll leave the first one because that's definitely TfL.
Yeah, if I come in quickly, Chair, quickly. I think when looking at your questions, Vicky, number 2 was one where there's kind of an overlap.
Yeah.
If you want to ask that one now, and then we can ask the others later. Thank you.
That'd be good.
I'll just do the middle one.
Just do the middle one,
yeah. So, thank you, Chair. Now that TfL and RBK are sitting at the same table, maybe once and for all someone could give us a definitive answer as to who is responsible for the street cleaning, gully cleansing, litter picking, etc. in Hook Rise South. For too many years, each party seems to do a good job of telling residents it's not our responsibility, it's TfL, it's RBK, depending on who you're talking to. Now, the road is filthy and weedy, especially the section alongside the development area where cars are parked 24/7. And between 97 and 99 Hook Rise South is a turning area, which has a large tarmacked area outside both houses, which some people very regularly and illegally use for their own parking area. The whole area is litter-strewn and overgrown, and the 2 small street trees that are there are in dire need of pruning. The double yellow lines and keep clear road markings are very worn and need repainting. When will someone take responsibility and do something about this area?
Thank you, Vicky. Councillor Grocott.
Thank you, Vicky. So we can just reiterate something that I think we've talked about before in terms of answering some of your questions about what RBK are responsible for. So ourselves and James have got clarity on this. So the Royal Borough of Kingston are responsible for clearing the street from litter. And you can do that, any resident can do that by filling out a form on the council website. So if you feel outside of the cyclical cleaning that it looks like it needs to be done again, any resident can do that. It was last cleaned yesterday after I made a request last week. So interestingly, I would be interested to get your feedback, because I'm not convinced that when we get a response as councillors telling us that it's been cleaned. So I requested it to be cleaned from the roundabout up to Queen Mary's Close. And I received the email response yesterday telling us that it had been done. So I'd be happy if you feel that's not the case, because that's information that we can feed back to RBK.
I think the level of cleaning from RBK is probably different to what the residents would see.
And
I mean,
that's something that
you
we
ask
can,
any of this lot here to see whether they
something
think
that
the road's been cleaned, and they'll probably say
we
no.
can pick up, because I'm happy to represent your dissatisfaction and residents' dissatisfaction with what's being said is clean and what residents are experiencing is clean. So that's the first point. The second point about grass around the hammerhead and the trees, again, anyone can request for the trees to be pruned. We weren't sure which trees you were talking about, but Mark's confirmed, so I will put out a request to get our tree pruning officer to have a look at it. Please be aware that the time for that is between 6 weeks to 2 months, because they are responsible for the whole borough.
I've been waiting a good few years for it to be done, Helen, so 2 months is
I'm
great.
not aware that you'd put in a request. So once that's been done, we can have a look at it, and I will do that again, no problem. And again, any resident can request for the trees to be pruned and the grass to be cut outside of the cyclical programme via the council website. The third point about weeds, the weeds on the pavements are responsible by TfL to clear. So that's along the whole stretch of the pavement. Yellow lines, as you know, and parking along the pavement, the illegal parking that you and I have spoken about, is also the responsibility of Transport for London, because they own the pavement. And in terms of you weren't mentioning it, but just in terms of the graffiti on the boarding, that's Signal Park, and I've also asked them to do that like we did last year. And I've asked them again to inform us about their cyclical programme, because when we reported it and they cleaned it last year, I asked them how often were they going to do it so that we didn't have to keep reporting it, and I was told 6 months, and that was a little while ago. So have we answered all of the queries
So I think
that are responsible by
if I've got
RBK?
Got it right. Street cleaning is RBK.
Yep.
Didn't mention anything about gully cleaning. That's gully cleaning is TfL. Weeding is TfL, and getting stuff done in between is down to the residents. Right.
Any resident that feels that outside of the cyclical programme that covers the whole borough, that there's a request that it needs to be done more frequently, then any resident can request that, yes.
Whilst we're on it, if I hope you don't mind me coming in, councillors, is that I did report the hammerhead because I saw the state of it as well, and I reported it about a month, 6 weeks ago, and was told it was part of the schedule. I have been chasing that up, but not had a response yet on that. I also reported the parking and the issues with making sure that a hammerhead is kept clear to TfL. Because the hammerhead is there for a reason, and it's a safety reason. It's just not a dip in the road. So I have reported that for TfL, so I will chase that up again with you, because I don't think there's any enforcement being done for people parking on that pavement section. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. So, back to item 3, petitions. We don't have any notice of intention to submit a petition this evening. So I'll go to item 4, apologies for absence. Kevin, do we have any apologies?
Councillor Ansari gave apologies.
Thank you, Kevin. So item 5, declarations of interest. Members are invited to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests or any other registrable or non-registrable interests relevant to items on this agenda. Do any members have any interests they wish to declare? I'll start with Councillor Mirza first.
Chair, I have to declare an interest in Bridge Road, Slip Road, as I'm a resident of the Slip Road. So I won't be commenting on this.
Thank you. Councillor Andreas Kirsch.
Thank you, Chair. On the item number 8 on scheme number 3, which is concerning Compton Crescent, 2 sites in Compton Crescent, I declare interest that I am a resident of Compton Crescent, so I'm not living very close to the relevant junctions where the planning measures are to be discussed, but I declare interest that I live still in the road, and so I would abstain from the vote on this scheme.
Thank you, Councillor Goodell-Kirsch.
Essentially what Councillor Andreas Kirsch said.
Funny that. Any other declarations of interest at all? No? Okay, thank you, colleagues. Right, so we'll go to item 6, the minutes. Members can find the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of March at Appendix A in the agenda pack. Can members confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of March 2025 as a correct record?
Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you. I'll sign that at the end of the meeting. Okay, so item 7 is the TfL report back. So we welcome James Keeley along this evening, who's our Community Engagement Officer. He is joined by Catherine Seaborn, the Head of Local Communities and Partnerships. So welcome this evening. Thank you very much for coming along. I'll ask you to give us any updates that you might have, and then I'll ask for questions after that, if that's all right. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely, and thanks for having us. I'm going to ask James, I think, to give some updates on, report back on the work we're doing on parking on Hook Rise, in sort of immediate next steps. And then I know there's been some questions around the horrific incident on the A3, and so, you know, we could give a bit of a background on that and then take any further questions if there are any. But I'll hand to you first, James.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. James Keeley here, LCP's Engagement Officer for Kingston. I recognise a lot of faces here. I knocked on a lot of doors recently. Yes, I just wanted to give a quick update regarding Hook Rise South. So we've had 2 engagement sessions regarding H-bar installations, which are essentially big white H's on people's drop curbs. The first session, Pallavi joined, as well as Councillor Grocott, and we knocked on about 30 houses from 87 onwards, just asking residents whether they're interested. There was an over-resounding yes. We're after some mitigations for these roads. We've discussed about the issues on Hook Rise South multiple times at these meetings, and yeah, so we're looking to install these H-bars. Councillor Grocott requested that we extend it out. Originally, we were going to do H-bars only to Queen Mary Close, but since the first engagement session, I did a second one where I did between Queen Mary Close and to the industrial estate, so up to about 173. And again, it was a resounding yes. Everyone who I spoke to was positive about the H-bar markings. Yeah, so I've raised this with Asset Ops, and we're likely to start these works next Monday. This is weather permitting. Yeah, so essentially today, tonight or tomorrow, there'll be some no parking cones set out on these drop curbs to essentially act as a deterrent because we can't have a car parked when we're doing these H-bar installations. I've also asked that Asset Ops also refresh the white line in the middle of the road. As you can see, the yellow lines on Hook Rise South have also been refreshed. So yeah, I understand that putting out the cones tomorrow might be a little inconvenient, but it will improve the likelihood of us, you know, being able to install the lines with no car being there, essentially. Yes, and we touched on it briefly regarding the parking surveys, but it's a case of we have to go through all of the steps. Essentially, in the plan application in 2016, TfL was reached out to provide advice and information. And we've set out, in the case of XYZ, we must go through these steps. And the parking surveys are a necessary step. So we have to go through that. Kingston have approached a developer 3 times. It's very much a case of we have to go through the steps in terms of longer term mitigations for Hook Rise South. But yeah, we're putting in. Oh.
Sorry, can I just come in on that one? Just a quick question while it's fresh in my mind.
Go for it.
We know the outcome of the survey. We very much know the outcome of the survey. Would it be possible to start work on a design programme in anticipation of that survey being done, so that we haven't then got to wait for the design of the survey to be moved forward?
We'd be happy to work with Kingston officers, on what a controlled parking zone might look like for that area. I think it would be very difficult to design a scheme just for the road itself because it has knock-on impacts. Generally, controlled parking zones are led by the boroughs and need to be kind of approved. So I think we'll need to work through, probably not, you don't all need to hear the details, but I think we need to pick that up with officers. And we're very happy to have that conversation to start to scope out what that might look like, pending kind of what the surveys look like for the details. But yeah, we're happy to have that conversation.
Thank you. I think that would be welcome, so that residents, I understand we need the survey, but we can get it started, so we can get work started. Thank you. Sorry, James, for interrupting you.
No, that's essentially the end of my update. In that, we're looking to install these H-bars next week and refresh white lines.
Councillor Grocott.
Thank you. So H-bars were part of the multiple issues that we raised with you in the last couple of meetings. The other main issue was around speeding and reducing it from 30 to 20 miles an hour along Hook Rise South and Tolworth Rise South. And we had confirmation in the previous meeting and when you and I met with Jonathan on site that was going to be enactioned within this financial year. So what's the update on that, please, for both Hook Rise South and Tolworth Rise South?
Yes, so we're looking in introducing speed reductions from 30 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour on the A3 service roads. This includes Hook Rise South and Beverley Way and all of the A3 service roads. We've had engineers, had chats with borough officers, and we're progressing it further. And yeah, we're looking to commit for this financial year.
Thank you, James. And yes, Councillor Grocott.
I'm sorry, I didn't actually hear any new information in your answer.
I guess. Well, what we'll do is, based off the, we've had chats with UNAs, and essentially what we'll do is I'll ask my officers to look to give councillors a briefing on the actual service roads. And it will give an opportunity for you guys to ask questions and essentially move along.
I think I would just add that lowering speeds on these roads is a priority. It's part of our lowering speeds programme across London. Essentially, it's one of the number one commitments in our new Vision Zero action plan to reduce speeding and dangerous behaviours on all of our roads. We've made a commitment that this is in our budget for this financial year. So we're really keen to progress this work with yourselves and with the support of residents.
Thank you. Councillor Bainham.
Just very quickly, thank you, Chair. So, well, that's really good to hear. But I mean, I think it just seems like if everyone, I think pretty much everyone's in favour of this happening, and you've got the money for you budgeted for it. So it just seems to be it's taken quite a while to get to the stage. Well, it's taken quite a while so far of being told it's going to happen. It still hasn't happened. So it'd be good to get it done as soon as possible. It seems like I don't know how the process you have to go through. It just seems like a fairly straightforward thing to do. And if you've got the budget for it, we'd like to get it done ASAP, really. So just yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Totally agree. There are obviously engineering works that need to be done, kind of surveys, designs, and so on. We wouldn't normally consult. We just engage with communities for this kind of thing because it sounds like there's a lot of support report. And as you said, it's generally signs and lines, so it is relatively quick as opposed to, sort of a junction redesign that can take many years. So that's why we do commit to working towards aiming to deliver it this financial year. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Grocott.
Sorry to push. Catherine, do you have a time frame for that? Because we've heard this positive commentary in the last 3 meetings now, but we're really looking for a time frame. And if you asked us what our questions are, I can tell you now, it will be, when is it going to happen? What's the time frame?
End of this financial year is what the aim is. I think we'll have to take that away with the sponsors who are responsible for, delivering the scheme. And we're happy, as James said, to arrange a more detailed briefing on that with those who are delivering it.
Yes, Eunice.
I think, as James said, we had a meeting with DFL, and I did say to my colleague in DFL, we are welcoming that change from 30 to 20 mph, and I'm fully aware all my members in all the 4 neighbourhoods, they wish to see that changes. And my understanding, as Catherine said, it is within this financial year, but if you want a specific date, I can give you, which is sometime in January 2027.
Thank you, Eunice. Okay. And I think, Catherine, you were going to give us an update on the A3, please.
Yeah, thanks very much. I wanted to take a few minutes on this because I know that it's been hugely impactful, and we're very aware of the traffic impacts of the emergency diversions that we've had to make. They're impacting our bus operations as well. It's not something that we want to do or kind of take lighthearted. So, safety is our number 1 priority. So I'm just referring to the really high-speed incident that happened on the 8th of May on the A3 that did cause structural damage to the safety barrier. As you'll probably be aware, emergency services were called. Police are investigating the incident. This is, something that we take very, very seriously. And as I mentioned, with our Vision Zero action plan, we have very close partnership with the police to report these kinds of incidents and kind of investigate them thoroughly, and other actions on enforcement to reduce speeding in a number of different ways, not just reducing speed limits, but also enforcement of these kinds of behaviour. So obviously we attended this scene very soon afterwards, did the initial clearing up of the debris and kind of assessment of the damage. And then we had to make a few visits with the experts, the engineers, to kind of inspect the extent of that damage. And then, local residents will be aware that on the 22nd of May, we found that it was necessary to put additional lane restrictions in place to basically keep vehicles away from that damaged section. I realize that that's quite an extensive lane closure, and that has a lot of impacts. We can see that. We're monitoring it. We're doing everything we can to manage it as best we can with diversions and with the traffic lights and so on. But it is there to keep everybody safe, to ensure that until we are able to repair that damaged section, there aren't any vehicles sort of driving close to that section. In terms of the repairs that are needed, there's a specialist kind of build of that material. It needs to be manufactured. You can't just sort of go to Wix and buy a structural barrier, obviously. So that needs to be designed to fit into that section. And so we're doing that as quickly as we can with the suppliers. And then when we get to actually installing it, that should only be about a week of work. So I realize that as you're driving past and it looks empty and there's, it can be very frustrating, but, we wouldn't be closing a lane of traffic if we didn't need to. We're doing that for the safety of those vehicles on that road and also people, below on Hook Rise. So, that's where we are at the moment. As I said, we're really, I think we should be sort of also looking at the bigger picture here. I realize that this can be very frustrating and kind of and scary, but we really are very, very committed to kind of tackling this kind of dangerous driving, these kind of incidents. It's sort of not a slight loss of control. It was really, really unacceptable behaviour on that road, which is really unfortunate. I could talk a little bit more just about kind of the buses and the HGVs. So it is a really fluid situation. We're responding to an emergency. This isn't planned works. This isn't how we would normally want to do things. So we did make a change to the diversions to allow buses on the 5th of June. have access to driver facilities for the drivers. However, we do recognise that that led to some HGVs down, I think it was Hook Rise. So following that, we very quickly realised that that wasn't working, because although there were signs in place, the HGVs were not following those signs. So we've made other arrangements with for the bus drivers and the facilities that they need, and stop the buses going down Hook Rise, and consequently those HGVs as well. So we are responding. We're doing our best to manage a really difficult situation, and we want, as much as anyone else, to get that barrier repaired, get it back to structural integrity, so that we can kind of reopen that lane and get everything moving again.
Thank you. Colleagues, Councillor Grocott.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been really interesting hearing your answer, and I'll explain what I mean by that. I think everybody here would agree that the safety of road users and those living in Hook Rise South, because there was potential damage to one of the, or almost damage to one of the properties and potentially the people inside. I think we all agree that that is really important, that we need to make sure that things are safe and that we do prosecute those people that engage in reckless and dangerous driving. However, I think it has to be said that if you're saying that you're looking at the cameras on the A3 and you're aware of the issue, then I would really want to challenge you on what that means, because if you're aware of the issue, you'll be aware that there are tailbacks going back to Rains Park, that it's affecting all the arterial roads leading into each of the roundabouts, both at New Malden, at Tolworth and at Hook. And we're talking Europe's busiest dual carriageway. So we're not just talking about the effect it's having on the local residents, we're talking about the national and potentially international consequences. 3 of our MPs have written to the Houses of Parliament, as you know, to the Commissioner of TfL, including Ed Davey, Paul Coher and Sarah Olney. And I think that is really testament to the fact that it is affecting residents both in Wimbledon as well as in Kingston. So it's across 2 constituencies, as well as the people who live locally. I hear what you're saying about the understanding about needing to close the lane off after the roundabout and to have Hook Rise South closed off so that cars aren't passing by that damaged barrier. But I fail to understand if you're saying that once the piece of equipment that I'm sure Joe in the audience there who used to work, you are Joe, aren't you? I'm looking at you behind Mr. Rob. Joe. Are you Joe? Yes, who we've been corresponding.
I heard what the lady said, it's rubbish.
Well, I want to bring you in with respect, because you have some technical understanding of the situation.
That exact job in about 10 up from the slip, the exact same job I've done 15 years ago for Enterprise Michelle. And you just put sandbags, or there's only one bit of barrier gone. That barrier shouldn't even be on that road. It's not cracked barrier, 2 barriers, not one.
Okay, if we can go through the chair, please. Thank you.
No, and we just put loads of sandbags so you cover up the bit where you cut out, and then you put cones in the curb and you leave it. That's it. You get a bit made and you go back. Right? No lanes out, no diversions. It's a massive money-making thing. TfL. But you'll sue the car driver who caused the crash. But the truth is, that barrier ain't fit for purpose. Shouldn't even be there.
Thank you.
The worst thing you can do is bring them down to 40 miles an hour, right? And it's a whole different ballgame. Road is not a fast road anymore. You know, I've got my cards here. I'm Lancashire trained, and I work for Fitzpatrick, and then I work for Enterprise Michelle, and I've done a bit of the exact same stuff. And you have to get a welder to weld the bit in, because it's not crash barrier. Crash barrier is nuts and bolts. That is just ain't much, I don't know, it must be the 60s. I'm old and I don't ever remember it going up. But what you have just said is complete rubbish. You were waiting. What you'll do is Conway's will give you a massive bill. We go, lovely, I'll put 15% on that, right, and then I'll hand it on to the insurers. And it's money for nothing. Money for nothing. All these people being slowed down. Doesn't have to be.
I think if we can, I think we've heard you, so thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Chair, if I may, I wanted to bring Mr O'Shea in because I know he has technical experience, and I did give TfL the opportunity in advance, knowing that Mr O'Shea was here with that technical understanding, to have somebody from their team. And I know, Catherine, that you said you've spoken to them. But I think my question on behalf of many frustrated residents is, why do the cones go all the way back to South Lane? I think we all understand that we need to have and protect the workers when they're doing the work. But if you're saying that it will take 1 week to install it, why are we waiting for over 6 weeks when there is no work being done to have the road, the lane closed, and why so far back? And I don't think we've really heard the answers to those two questions, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Catherine.
Yeah, thanks. I'll try and take those questions in turn. There are quite a few points, so I'll do my best to pick them up as best I could. So if there was a quick and easy solution, we would take it. We have inspected that section, and not just the contractors, but TfL engineers themselves have been out to inspect that location. So we've had multiple inspections by the experts to ascertain the damage to that section of the barrier. So absolutely the lane needs to be closed to keep vehicles safe passing by. I understand the frustration that all the way back to, South Lane, I can take that back in terms of that full extent. In terms of the impact, but everything that you said in terms of the traffic impacts is what we're seeing and what our network operations and managers have shared with me. So we are seeing the same impacts that you are seeing, and we acknowledge that that is incredibly frustrating, and we would not leave it in if we didn't need to, for the safety of vehicles passing by and for residents below and people might be passing below. We don't do these things lightly just for the sake of closing lanes. It is completely because we want to wait for the technical equipment that is needed, that, just putting some sandbags and some, that is not sort of to the level that is needed.
Excuse me, Mr O'Shea. Mr O'Shea, please. Mr O'Shea, I must ask you, please be respectful. No, and we don't accept people shouting out. So thank you very much indeed for your input. But please be respectful. Thank you.
So it's significant damage. That takes more than a few days to put together. It requires a new part that meets that technical standard to be manufactured and delivered, so that then we can install it. I think there was a question at the back as well.
Councillor Grocott.
I think I've just heard you say that you'll take that back in response to my question that I have emailed James and Jonathan multiple times about ever since the 22nd of May. So I actually said that it would be really disappointing if we got a take that back answer tonight. And it's a shame that when you've been given ample notice that these are the frustrations that as elected representatives we're representing on behalf of the people here and all the people that may be listening at home and that aren't able to attend. I just don't understand why we haven't got an answer tonight to why the cones are going all the way back to South Lane, number one. And number two, we all understand that at 50 miles an hour, of course you need to protect your workers when they're doing the work. Nobody would disagree with that. But you've acknowledged that the work is taking at least 6 to 8 weeks. So we don't understand why the lane is closed when there's no work happening.
You wouldn't want any other vehicles having an impact with the damaged area.
The cones are going back all the way to South Lane. That's nowhere near the crash barriers.
So shall I just read the answer?
Can we go through the chair?
Thank you.
Councillor was just finishing her question, and then I'll come to you. Thank you.
So the closed section is bigger than the damaged spot because of how dangerous it is for the work next to that fast-moving traffic when the barrier still isn't doing its job. However, until that barrier is properly back in place, we need to keep that safety gap between the traffic and the weakened section, and that's why it's closed further back than the damage point. This is completely normal safety rule for this type of road, so we're following the standard safety rules, and it stays in place whether or not anyone is physically on site at that moment, because the barrier still can't protect the road until that barrier is fixed. We know this is causing real congestion. I've said that many times. The queues are up to 2.5 kilometers at the worst times, adding 10 to 20 minutes to journeys. That's what people are experiencing. We don't take this lightly. We're keeping it under constant review, and we have a control center watching it 24/7, and we have had to consider this while setting up these measures. We really don't take it lightly.
Thank you. Can I just add on one of those things that you mentioned about 20 minutes or whatever? I travel to Guildford 3 times a week. And currently, because of the closures, it's taken me 2.5 hours to get to work. So whilst the immediate surrounding area on the TfL network, the actual wider network is impacted even more, because the likes of the areas of Claygate and Esher and other particular areas on different networks are having a major are being majorly impacted. So I would hope that TfL could perhaps take away and look at, first of all, the amount of lane that is taken out, because it is excessive, but also perhaps look at reducing the speed limit along there if we can do something about that, so we don't have it as far back as we actually do. And I think that will have a more positive negative impact. But, you know what I mean? I just think at the moment it is excessive, and I can understand residents' frustration in the area. So thank you for that. Is there any other members with any questions before I go to residents? Okay, thank you very much. So I have some questions that have been pre-submitted. So I'm going to start with Vicky Harris, please.
Do you want me to come up there again?
Please.
I think James has probably preempted my first question about the white lining, and you're absolutely certain that as from next Monday, the white lines are going to be repainted in Hook Rise South, are they, down the centre of the road?
Yeah, so Asset Ops have confirmed, but this is dependent on the weather. But
of course.
Yeah, the idea is that, yes, it's planned for next week.
Because those white lines have been missing for an awful long time, and as you know, our section of Hook Rise South is the only two-way section, and without that centre white line, everybody still thinks that we're a one-way section, which causes a few problems. So I'm glad to hear that you're going to be doing those white lines. Can you also confirm that you're going to be repainting the yellow lines around the Oakcroft Road junction, especially as you come out of Oakcroft Road? If you turn right to go down to Hook Rise South, cars will park right up to the corner because the double yellow lines are virtually non-existent. And that makes sight lines absolutely horrendous. So if you're going to repaint those double yellow lines, could you take them further round the corner so that people turning right out of Hook Rise, out of Oakcroft Road, have a better sight line?
I've made a note of that, and yes, so Asset Ops recently refreshed sections of Hook Rise South yellow lines, so I'll raise it with them as to why they haven't done that section as well.
Yeah, they've done the top part, but not the middle bit.
Yeah,
Okay,
every bit of Hook Rise South has got repainted, apart from the bit between 87 and Oakcroft Road.
Right, okay, I'll re-raise that and see what we can do about
There
that.
used to be a phrase within the neighbourhood that south of the borough was the forgotten end of the borough. Well, I think we think that our bit of Hook Rise South is the forgotten end of Hook Rise South. Right, so that was the white lines. The other one goes is the other question is a bit regarding the barrier as well. Many years ago, there was a suggestion that our bit of Hook Rise South was made one way from Oakcroft Road down to Toby Way. Now, we were told that this couldn't happen because Hook Rise South was an access route to the industrial estate for the fire brigade, and the fire brigade wouldn't want us closing off that bit. So you both sat there and nodded, so you must have known that, so why have you shut it off? You're denying access to the fire brigade.
Well, no, well, these are emergency works. I think the works you're referring to are a sort of permanent fixture, which would affect the fire services. But these are emergency works, I've got to stress. They're temporary measures.
We know they're temporary measures, but at the moment, if there was a fire and the fire brigade were coming round Tolworth roundabout and wanting to get into Hook Rise South to get to the industrial estate, they couldn't, could they?
Well, what we do is that when we close the...
Connected to the other barriers.
And the other...
Obviously, it'll be replacing the elements that have been damaged, structurally
Okay.
damaged, that our engineers have inspected.
It does tend to make me wonder the fact that you've got it shut all the way back to South Lane, and you've been talking so much about safety of residents and all the rest of it. Maybe you are that worried about your barriers, that's why you've shut it all the way back, because you have no confidence that the barriers all the way along the A3.
And I'm really worried that actually, it's proven now that these barriers are not fit for purpose, hence my question, right? A proper analysis has to be done. And I think, like the gentleman over there said, these are outdated, so you're wasting your money trying to get one replaced, right? The same effect's going to happen. What happens if some HGV or some bigger vehicle...
I have had reassurance from the head of asset operations that the parapet's designed against the relevant technical guidance and is fit for purpose. It did its job in this instance. It did its job in this instance of extremely high speeds and stopping those vehicles from going over the side. Yes, I acknowledge there was some debris, and that and that's upsetting to hear about that. It is inspected really frequently to check it's safe, like we do with all of our assets. The barrier did work as designed, as I said. It kept the vehicles on the road. We do accept that an alloy wheel went over the barrier, vehicles on the road. We do accept that an alloy wheel went over the barrier, but it's not possible to know at what height the barrier would have needed to be to contain this. We are focused on rolling out more speed enforcement, as well as making the necessary repairs to that technical guidance and standard that's fit for purpose to the barriers, and we're committed to do that. It's fit for purpose to the barriers, and we're committed to do that.
Thank you.
Because I was told that we have to wait for this survey report from... the councillors to you guys, and now... But apparently it's sorted now, so you guys are going to liaise between you and sort it all out. Because my problem is these white H-bar lines are not going to be a permanent solution to our road. We need to think about other options to our road. We need to think about other options. And when I get suggestions, we can discuss it on our road. But at the moment, I don't know what those options are. So I'd like to know what decisions we're going to make moving forward. I don't want to wait until phase 2 is built and then we're talking about this. I need this sorted soon. I don't know what else to say on it. I want to know who's going to be dealing with it. I can't be waiting another year to find out what's going on with this survey. Because without this survey, I was told we can't move forward about next solution to our road. The H-bar is just a solution for now. I want to find a permanent solution to our road. And if I could go back to the barriers as well, they're not sufficient. They're honestly not. I'm worried for my kids, I'm worried for my family. When they start walking to school, are they actually safe if a lorry was to come over? You know, and like what Camille said, who's going to take responsibility for that if someone has a fatal accident? What's going to happen? You know, all these problems need to be resolved. It's about lives. It's about residents who've been living there for years and years and years. We need to sort this out. It can't just be ignored. It's not going to go away. Another major accident could happen tomorrow, and then what we're going to do? And someone could actually get killed, and it won't be the driver of that stupid car who sped down that road. You know, it'd be some poor resident living down that road, or some child. you know, so we need to really sort this out.
Thank you. Eunice, did you want to come in regarding the first section of the question? Thank you.
Actually, that's the first time TfL want us to get involved in that, which is we, as a highway authority, we will be pleased to do so. If they pay us for it, we are happy to do the work. But I think what I suggest, because before you put your bar marking, I had similar exercise, similar problem somewhere else. What we've done initially is to mark where it is safe to park, and where it is not safe to park, we put the bar marking. So anyway, like we describe to the people where we want them to park. And why that is good, because in the future, if this become CPZ or become parking scheme, we don't need to do a lot except removing the white bar marking and put yellow line. So that's in preparation. But I think I want residents to be aware, if there is a CPZ is not free.
Yep,
Okay,
we're aware.
I want you to be aware.
Yep, we're
And
aware.
if RBK will be taking the lead, we will be enforcing. There is an arrangement which we can do with TfL. If TfL willing to do that under the arrangement with RBK, we can. We'll charge £125 for every permit you're going to purchase. So I want the resident to be aware of that. And secondly, before we push
Is that
into...
yearly? Or is
yes,
it
yearly.
Yep.
Not weekly, yes, yearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but there is something as well we need to make sure is, my experience with a CPZ is I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people, they want it. But when we do consultation, you will be surprised. Because our experience is people, they may be some of you that have a problem, but the majority, they feel I'm able to squeeze my car here, I'm able to put my car here. So do I need to pay 125 if there is me and my wife and my son or my daughter? So you can imagine the cost, how it's gonna be. So before anything need to be done, the resident, they need to be consulted first, and they need to be aware what the cost implication is gonna be. And our experience in Kingston, we don't put CPZ unless we have very high support for it. 50% is not good enough for us. We need above 50% response rate and support, because that means the resident, they need to pay money. And we don't take that lightly with them. Thank you.
Yeah, and I understand, I completely understand that. We don't really want to be spending that much money a year. But if the H bars are not going to be working, and then the next phase is going to start soon, and then we've got the phase 3 coming along afterwards, we need to protect our road. It will not be safe. We need to do something. And if that is the final option, then I think not everyone will agree to it, but majority on our road, we're left with no choice.
Thank you.
You know, so...
Did you guys, Tim from TfL, want to come in at all regarding the...
I don't really have
safety?
anything to add. I think Eunice has set out the process pretty clearly, and as I said, our officers will be able to work with Kingston officers on what that CPZ looks like, but it needs to be led by the borough.
Yeah, and how long roughly are we looking at this then? Because I don't want it to be in discussion for another year.
Yes, Eunice. Yeah.
I always tell my resident, if they want CPZ is not straightforward. There is a process, not less than 6 months. Because we need to publish the traffic management order. There is a consultation, there is a traffic management order. I can assure you will receive objection with somebody who doesn't want to pay money. Then we need to come back to this committee in order to make a decision. Then after that, we need to prepare, so minimum of 6 months.
And that's better than another a year, 2 years, because the next phase could be built by then, so we need to
About
make sure
6 months
something-
after we agreed with TfL on the way how we need to run it, not before.
No, that's fine. I don't expect it to be a quick process, but long as we start the process, that's all we're asking for.
Councillor Bainan.
Thank you, Chair. Just on that, well, not to diminish what you're going through, but in terms of the phase 2, people aren't going to be moving in for a number of years yet. But there is a problem. That doesn't not to say there isn't a problem. We're very, very well aware. We talk about there is a problem already, which we need to address. But in terms of just to kind of reassure you, so yes,
Thank
but
you,
yes.
Mr. Rob.
But yeah, as I say, we've got time to put things in place. We need to put things in place. I mean, you need to, just for after phase 1, and it has had a big impact, which we acknowledge, and it's something that's very important in the top of our agenda as ward councillors. So it's good that we've had this conversation today, and thanks, Catherine. I think if you can meet with, if you guys can meet, and I'd like to be in attendance as well, just to understand how we can start making changes. And we don't have, we've got to work through the available solutions. It's going to be a combination of things. It's going to be impact TfL roads, and also, as Catherine said, it's going to impact other council, council-owned roads as well. So we are having those conversations. It looks like we can be having meetings soon, and we can start putting things in train and consulting people. I'll be keen to push that as quickly as possible. But it'll be a combination of factors. There's other things we want to do, like potentially, speed restrictions, kind of road, limiting heavy goods vehicles and the like. So there's a number of things. But and also I think potentially a CPZ, although it's cost money, from just the feedback I'm getting, people might don't want to spend money if they don't have to, but it's something that, given the impact, and it might be something that will potentially here be more popular than elsewhere. But we will see what happens after consultation. But it looks like we're trying to work together, and we have got time before phase 2 comes in. But that doesn't mean there are problems now.
I don't want to leave it till the end.
No, we're not going to. No.
I want to start working
but
on it
it's going to be a number of years. But there's problems already that we need to address. So we are looking at that, and it sounds like we're making progress. And as ward councillors, we'll continue to push for that.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bainan. I'm going to ask you to take a seat. I know Vicky Harris wants to have another word, if that's all right.
Sure,
Thank
just
you.
the barrier thing, I didn't get the answer about the barrier. That's the only other thing I wanted to know. Are you looking at changing all the barriers, or what's going on about that?
The plan at the moment is to replace the structurally damaged barrier with a fit-for-purpose, essentially like-for-like replacement at this point in time.
But it's not fit for purpose.
But it is according to, designed against the technical guidance, and it is fit for purpose in terms of the regulations of what's required.
Okay, so you guys will take responsibility and liability if something happens, someone gets killed on our road. If a lorry was to come over, those barriers are not going to protect anyone. And this is what I'm trying to say to you. They're too old. They're old. I think they were there in the 1970s.
I think the officers, what the officers saying, that from the guidance they're inspected, they're given it, they're surveyed and checked, and I don't think the officers can give you any more assurance than that they're saying they're safe. So I don't think we can take that conversation any further here at the moment.
Could it not
I'm
be
afraid.
looked at? Or is it going to be...
Well, they are regularly inspected. That's what the officers have said.
So basically, until something fatal happens, nothing will be done about it. Basically,
I think we've given the feedback for them to be able to take that away and speak to the surveyors about that. So thank you very much indeed. Vicky, would you like to come forward?
Just a very quick one. Thank you, Chair. From comments that have been made from both ends of the table, I'm getting the distinct feeling that the only option you're looking at is a CPZ. Well, that's not an option, is it? Options means several different sorts. So if you come back to residents just putting in front of them a CPZ, that won't be accepted, because I know for a fact that an awful lot of people won't want to pay for that. So come back to us with options, different solutions, please.
Yes. Eunice, would you like to come in?
I think, Chair, definitely that...
Oh, please, sorry, I can't hear you if you're talking over. Thank you. I appreciate that, but I can't hear you when the officers are speaking. Sorry, thank you.
I think, I was going to say councillor, sorry. A few years back. So what I'm saying is, why we do a consultation? Consultation is for us to understand what the people feel and what the extent of the problem and what the options are valuable for us. For example, yes, it's not CPZ. First of all, who we want to tackle here, who we are going to move. Is that all-day commuters? If it's all-day commuters, I can put half an hour parking. Yellow line, half an hour parking, no CPZ. But there is a problem with that. The problem is where the resident they're going to go in this half an hour. You see, so whatever option we're going to put, it has a pros and cons. I can assure you we're going to put all of them for you so we can look at it. And then you can decide which one do you want. I guess you go for the cheapest one, which I don't blame you. But definitely we have to put options. We can't just say CPZ or PPA or whatever. We need to explore. And that is why when James and Catherine was talking about the survey, Why is good about the survey? Because I have to fully agree with them, because we do it as well. The first things we do is we do parking beat survey. Why? Because that will tell me the type of people are parking here. Do I have all-day parking, or do I have it's resident parking? Because don't forget, if you have a lot of houses and each one of them have 1 or 2 cars, you don't have enough curb space to take them all. So sometimes you don't have commuters. What you have is just you. And that it is why nighttime survey, we do it sometime, give us better understanding if there is any reserve capacity or not. If there is no reserve capacity, that means really it's you, the resident, who's here, and I don't enough base for you. So even if you do CPZ, it doesn't mean you're going to guarantee space.
Thank you, Eunice, and thank you everyone for your input this evening. Quickly, I'll let you come forward. You'll need to come forward to the table, please. Thank you.
If you let me be so kind, I'd like to go back to your lane closure at South Lane. And I can appreciate...
So can I just take your name?
Susan Baker.
Lovely, thank you, Susan.
And I can appreciate your experts coming back with this is all done for safety, but are they aware they've created another monster? Because drivers are driving along Tolworth Rise South, Tolworth Rise South. They can't get up onto the A3 at the roundabout. So what they're doing, they're cutting straight across from Tolworth Rise South and going on to the A3, which is illegal. And we've got it on our dash cam. We've seen them. And then you'll find a lot of cars are going down Jubilee Way now, cutting through, going up the one-way part of Hook Rise South, going straight onto the A3 at the Ace of Spades. So you're creating another hazard. Are your experts aware of that? And if not, why aren't you putting up cameras to catch these people?
So one example where we were aware that it was creating extra hazard was the HGVs ignoring the signs not to go down Hook Rise South. So that's one example where we've made an adjustment. So if there are specifics where the rules are not being followed and people are behaving against the regulations of, the sort of traffic rules, then what would be really helpful actually is if we could put that in writing so that we can take that back and we can look at it on our footage and on the observation and keep an eye out for it. Because yes, we're observing those traffic cues and monitoring them and doing our best to manage the signals and the diversions. But it'd be helpful to know if there's specific locations where where rules are being contravened, traffic rules.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so I made a note of those, but it'd be helpful to have it in writing, those specific ones as well.
Yeah,
because we have made adjustments where possible.
What people are doing is using the off slips as on slips.
Yes,
effectively.
Illegal,
So, Councillor Grocott.
I think you've sent me an email about this, haven't you, specifically? So I will forward, with your permission,
of course.
I will forward Susan's email to you. Thank you,
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to take one more question because I'm afraid we do have a packed agenda this evening. The lady at the back there, sorry, Jason, I saw you, but unfortunately, if you'd like to come forward. Oh, were you first? Sorry, I'll take you then. And if you'd like to come forward, the lady in the brown first, and then I'll take you, and then that's it. I'm afraid we've got to say we do have quite a full agenda this evening. That's okay. Can I take your name, please?
Jane Tillman.
Thank you.
Do I have to press a button or can you hear me? Can I give my question to TfL? It is true that Sadiq Khan is the equivalent of the Commissioner of the Policing, isn't he? That is true. So if that's the case, would you not agree that prevention is better for cure? Because all the safety reasons here, if we had more police, like the traffic divisions, which we used to have, would that not stop people from speeding quite as much, just as much as cameras? Sorry, my voice is quite bad.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is partnership with the police to ensure that we're forcing against speeding?
Yes, because it's cut down. I've lived here 30 years and I see traffic divisions all the time. I don't think I've seen one in the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a real focus for us at TfL and our safety plan, which we call Vision Zero, because the ambition is to get to zero of all zero killed and seriously injured on our roads. So the Metropolitan Police are signed up to that plan, so they're partners in that plan, and we work really closely with them on increasing enforcement. So one recent example is that we've increased mobile speeding cameras. So in the past, they've tended to be, on fixed locations, and then people know where they are, and it's difficult. So we've got a trial out with, I think it's 10. That's not very much, but we're starting to use that because we've got new technology where we can use mobile speeding cameras as an example of enforcement, where we're working with the police to increase our enforcement and find more innovative approaches.
Do you not think that also human presence is also very good? Because it does pick people off if you see those blue and yellow.
Yeah, that's difficult for me to comment on in terms of, it's outside of, it's outside of TfL's remit in terms of where those police officers are and so on. But certainly we work in partnership with the police on speed enforcement. Thank you for your question.
Councillor Grocott.
It's actually directly related to this, Catherine. I'm aware that TfL are paying for 2 staff members to sit in a Conway van observing the cones, it seems. I have spoken to them directly. And they told me that they were observing the cones to make sure that nobody crashed into them along the slip road, Tolworth Rise South. I've noticed them there for a while, so I actually went to ask them what they were doing. And I was told that they were there to observe the safety. So if you're paying for 2 staff members to sit there and practically do nothing, could they not have a camera? Could you not redeploy them, bearing in mind Susan's point around these slip-offs or slip-ons being misused and actually creating a hazard? Could you not pay to have cameras installed on top of them so they're actually being able to mitigate any future accidents? So I'm asking for the money rather to be spent on 2 staff members sitting in a van for 10 hours, which is the shift length they told me they're doing it for and being paid for, including on a bank holiday Monday, which I assume would be double time. We're suggesting that perhaps that money could be potentially better spent to mitigate the potential risks that are being highlighted to you tonight in terms of having static cameras.
As I said, we'll take those. Please pass on the details of those risks, and we'll take them away and see if we can do anything further to mitigate against them and enforce against them. I think it's sort of a different skill set in terms of staff, engineers on the roads than police enforcement. They're not directly employed by TfL, so. Yes, we want to use our resources to best effect, but I think we're better to look into those particular infractions and see what we can do to address them. Thanks.
Thank you. And then I'll just, the lady at the back, if you'd like to come forward. Thank you. Could I just take your name,
Yeah,
please?
my name's Jo Kearns.
Thank you, Jo.
This is for TfL regarding the A3. I understand TfL cannot have multiple barriers in storage, but just in case of an accident. These barriers are the same for miles and miles. So why do TfL not have at least one barrier that they can cut and weld?
I think they would have to be manufactured for those specific locations and to the specification needed. Like you said, Kieran, keeping barriers just in case. So
the same for miles. They're the same barrier for miles. So why can you not have, say, like a 3 metre length and you can cut it to size, not one barrier anywhere in the country?
I'm not sure where we would keep them, but
in the storage.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space for storage. This has been manufactured specifically to the standard that's needed. It's quite an expensive piece of equipment, so it's been manufactured to replace in that location.
But roads have miles and miles of these barriers, so surely there are some somewhere that you can
Well, if there
replace.
were some, trust me, we would be installing them as soon as we could. We don't want to have the lane of traffic closed any more than anyone else. We want to get it repaired as quickly as possible. This is sort of an emergency situation that we're responding to as quickly as we can.
Okay, I just have one last comment. I wrote to Andy Lord, and obviously he hasn't replied. Mr. Andrew Weisel wrote to me, and he states, and I quote, "The traffic management arrangements have been designed and deployed as per industry best practice guidance. There's also a traffic management crew on site 24/7 carrying out inspections to ensure it's safe every 2 hours. As we've just heard, they are sitting in a van. how can you warrant the cost for the workmen to sit there employed by TfL as per Andrew Weisel's letter to me?
I mean, I haven't been there every 2 hours to see what they're, doing. We'll pick, I can speak to Andy about that. I know him, he wrote back to you. We can kind of take it up with the contractors and ensure that they're making those inspections as agreed.
Okay, thank you.
You can schedule message. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out this evening. I've really appreciated it. It's been a really good conversation, and I've welcomed everyone taking that time. Thank you to TfL for coming down, and have those of you who wish to leave, you certainly may. Otherwise, we'll go on to the rest of the report, the agenda for this evening. So I'll let you leave. Thank you very much.
Maybe when Kathy down for a couple one day, yeah?
There's no reason to throw that at the Yeah, you speak to me. And highly qualified. You've been to work for TfL. Had you? You're an engineer. There's no reason at all. You can speak to Amber South like the other 40.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will move on to item 8. Objections to double yellow lines in Compton Crescent, Marston Avenue, Elmcroft Drive, Bridge Road junction with Leatherhead Road and Knollmead. The purpose of this report is to consider objections to a traffic management order, TMO-map King 0127, which includes proposals for waiting and parking restrictions at several locations in south of the Borough neighbourhood. We will deal with each section on the report separately. So we'll go to scheme 1. Eunice, did you want to add anything to? I know your just to go through your recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We received a request from residents and ward members about some issue on some of the road in the borough, in south of the borough. So my engineer visited the site and developed schemes. Then after that, we published the draft traffic management order, where we did send letters to all the residents who the scheme impacted on. And within 21 days of the statutory consultation, we received a number of objections. So if you're going to take the first one, because as I understand, you want to deal with each one separately. So are we dealing with Elmcroft Drive first? Okay. From Elmcroft.
Could you hold on 1 second? You can continue.
Thank you. So, as I said earlier, we send in total 174 residents. We send 32 letters to the resident of Elmcroft Drive, and we receive 8 responses from Elmcroft Drive. 4 of them are for, and the other 4 are against. The reason why that the resident, they are saying, as outlined in the report, Chair, they feel there is no problem at the bend, and the situation it's further down. It's not where the bend is, and both of the objection based on that. However, our site visit shows clearly the bend it's dangerous, and it need to be protected. So therefore, we propose to put double yellow line from outside number 15 up till number 21. So therefore, on safety ground, I do ask members to set aside the objection received from Aircraft Drive and for the scheme to go ahead for making the order and for implementation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Eunice. Are there any residents that wish to speak on this section? Okay. I will therefore move this from the chair. The committee is asked to note the comments and objections received as set out in paragraph 1 to 7 and officers' comments as set out in the report on pages B2 to B3. And the committee is asked to resolve that 1, the objections received to be set aside, and 2, the implementation of a TMO traffic management order to implement the double yellow liners and no waiting at any time restrictions along the bend of Elmcroft Drive be approved and the objectors be informed. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Kirsch. Do members wish to make any comments on or have any questions on this item? No. Councillor Bainham.
I think Councillor Grocott would like to, which is not here. She's so if we just, here we go.
You're wrong. Right. We are just talking about Elmcroft Drive and we've gone through the recommendation. Yes, we're just doing one at a time.
Sorry, it's okay. No, that's fine. Beg your pardon, sorry.
That's fine, that's okay. I know from my point of view, I have had a numerous number of residents contact me regarding this this bend and how difficult on the sight lines it is. And also for residents to be coming off there. There tends to be vans that are parking there mostly. So I welcome this. If there's no other members that wish to speak on the subject, can we go to a resolution? Is there a vote on this one? So for all those in favour? Thank you. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much, colleagues. So we've got scheme 2, which is the Bridge Road junction with Leatherhead Road. I'm going to ask the committee if we can remove this item and move it to the next meeting. Defer this to the next meeting. Are we in agreement with that? Is everyone happy with that? Mm-hmm. Agreed. Thank you very much. Yes, Eunice.
Could you please outline what the reason for the defer?
I think it's because the line currently as it is too long, and I think that needs to be, is that correct? That actually it's covering too much of an area, so we want to reduce it so we don't have to take so many car parking spaces out.
I think, Chair, I think the issue here is there is a combination of this. And the second element, I'm afraid my engineer, when met the ward member, he didn't reflect what the issue precisely within these papers. So therefore, we're not deferring the item because what we're going to do is advertise the draft of a new restriction. Then after that, if there is objection, we'll bring it to this committee. Because defer, that means I need to bring the same report. And I'm not bringing the same report because there is a mistake in this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the clarification, Eunice.
Can I just ask when that will come out?
Our next meeting is in...
I meant the paperwork.
So, well, the next meeting will be in September, so I'm hoping it will be sooner. You'll receive the consultation before then. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
It would have been helpful if people had come and knocked on doors with us.
Yeah, we don't actually, unfortunately. I mean, we can ask the ward colleagues.
Such a little road.
Yeah. Thank you, and I'm sorry that you've been inconvenienced with that, but hopefully we'll get the consultation sorted out for next time. Thank you. So we go to scheme 3, Compton Crescent. The proposal is the extension of a double yellow lines in front of houses 135 and 58, 58A and 60, proposed double yellow lines in front of houses 53, 51, 61, 63 and 35. Can I pass over to you for the recommendation, Eunice, please?
Thank you, Chair. As you can see from the plan in front of you, we visited the site, and there is a concern from resident and ward members about the safety at that junction at both direction of Compton Crescent. So therefore, after our site visit, we come to a conclusion the best way forward will be if to introduce double yellow line, and that to protect the junction and make sure there is a safety movement, because currently when there is a car parking you can't see, it creates a blind spot and you can't see it, so you have to go further, which creates a safety hazard to all road users. So I understand definitely the reason the resident outlining they don't support the scheme because they're going to lose parking, but we have to balance it between the safety, and safety goes above everything, as you know, Chair. So therefore, I'm asking members to set aside the objection received regarding these schemes and for the scheme to be approved and to make the order and to be implemented. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Eunice. So I wish to invite residents to speak if there's anyone that wants to speak on this item. No? Okay, thank you very much. So I'll move this from the Chair. The committee is asked to note the comments and objections received as set out in paragraph 1 to 7, and officers' comments as set out in the report on pages B4 to B7. The committee is asked to resolve that 1, the objections received be set aside, and 2, the making of the necessary traffic management order to implement the double yellow line, no waiting at any time restrictions along Compton Crescent proposed locations be approved and the objectors informed. Do I have a seconder, please? Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Kirsch. So do members have any comments or questions, please? No? Oh, yes, so Councillor Kirsch.
I would only like to make a comment that particularly at the upper end of where Marston Avenue meets Compton Crescent is a real access issue for emergency vehicles. Back in November, there was an emergency that required the fire services to attend, and they later reported they couldn't get round the bend. So, and had to find alternative routes to go through there. So that isn't actually noted in the report, but that was a very real issue that actually did occur. And we were both, by coincidence, actually the people who called the emergency services and were waiting for them. So it is a real issue because that was a fairly minor thing, but the next thing, it could be a house fire. So just to make that comment, I won't be voting, but I think that comment needs to be sort of added to the report.
Thank you for that additional information. If there's no one else that wishes to comment, can I take that as unanimous, or does the committee wish to go to a vote? Sorry?
We abstain.
Oh, you're abstaining, aren't you? Sorry. So can I go to the vote then? For those for, if you put your hand up, please. Against and abstentions. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we go to scheme 4. No, that one's been withdrawn, the Marston Avenue. So the objections to recommendation on scheme 4, Marston Avenue, the objections on this recommendation have been upheld, so it has been withdrawn. So we move to scheme 5. Which is Knollmead. The proposal is the introduction of double yellow lines and school keep clear markings. We need to note the late material. I'll pass this over to Eunice first, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. About Marston Avenue, if I may, Chair, the one you have been upheld is.
Yes.
It is a mistake by the officer because the consultation should be for between 12 to 1. but it has been advertised for 1 till 2, which is similar to the one at the other side of the carriageway. So that's why we have objection, because people say, where are we going to park? You're taking both sides. So therefore, hopefully in September, we'll rectify that and we'll bring a new report. Hopefully there is no objection, but even there is, we can bring it to this committee in order to be from 12 to 1 from one side, and the other side will be 1 till 2. That it's like a chicane, that. Now, come to Knowlmead. We have received a complaint from some residents and ward members about the parking situation in Knowlmead. First, we thought if we develop and we come up with School Street for Knowlmead there in order to address the issue. But then after visiting the site, we realized if we're going to introduce a School Street, Chair and members, all what it's going to do is going to displace all the parking to the other side. Then we're going to create more problem, because the purpose of the School Street is to make it a bit bigger so the people can forget about the car and walk or cycle with their children. But with the situation on Knowlmead, we felt really we're not going to achieve a lot, because all what's going to happen is we're going to create more problem, and people may park outside driveway and blocking driveway, because, as you know, parents say only 5 minutes, I'm not going to be late. So, but that's create a lot of problems. So therefore, we come up with the scheme, and that scheme is to put yellow line for 24/7 on Knowlmead. I know we have objection, and I think further discussion with the ward member, which I will leave it to them to outline. They would like to change the recommendation, which is, as an officer, we are happy to consider that. I'll leave it here, Chair.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to invite Janine Martin to come forward. Thank you.
Hiya. Did I just read what I've got written down? Is that okay? Yes. So thank you, Chair. Shall I move over? I can't do that. Can't think laterally. I'm too panicky. So this is regarding Knowlmead parking, which is actually Map King 0124. And parking batch 6, which I received on the 13th of February 2026. I consider that no significant consultation has taken place with residents on the Summery estate. Would the council consider a proper in-person consultation with residents and users of the local facilities before implementing any parking restrictions? In the agenda report, where are paragraphs 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 referred to in point 8, B10, as I can't see any evidence of the consultation, which is probably the letters sent out and responses. So how many letters regarding the consultation have been sent out to residents, which house numbers, and when was this? I mean, obviously I did say the 13th of February, so answer me on. No notices of seen on lampposts. Is that something that happens, or is that to come later? Non-residential vehicles are abusing the area. RBK should seek other measures to deter them. Why should local residents suffer due to RBK not enforcing or implementing appropriate solutions? The comment, parking directly outside the school gate, is misleading. You can see in the document that I submitted, I suggested better school streets. Solution would be 8 a.m. to 9:30 and a 2:30 to 4:30. A yellow hatch on the primary school Knowlmead allotment ramp, removal of the hedge by the crossing, because it does significantly impair allotment holders or people turning, and disabled parking. Whilst I agree that sustainable transport should be used, most parents are not focusing on this when dropping their children and rushing off on their other errands. Cars turn at Knowlmead allotments, some waiting usually with their engines idling. The ice cream van has also caused congestion, often parks on the corner, and once I have seen it parked over a pedestrian walkway, another on the grass verge. How many residents had contacted the council with concerns? What were these concerns? This was the initial why it was started. Have any incidents been reported in the last 12 months to 5 years? The parking on the estate has continued to get worse, with residents having to park on their crossovers. This proposal will remove 13 parking spaces, sending it further down Knollmead, as Eunice did mention. On occasions, cars are parked over walkways, crossovers and our private alleys. One resident reported parking on their own property. With increased use of the community centre, there's been an influx of parked cars on the grass verges. What will happen in the future? Have any of these also been considered? Parking bay for the forest bikes or cycle rack nearby? A discussion with TfL in rerouting the K1 bus to the top of Knollmead? Disabled parking for those visiting the community centre? Marked bays? What are the guidelines for public consultation and have they been met? Will councillors please reject this proposal for the time being and consider a proper in-person consultation with residents and users of the local facilities before implementing any parking restrictions?
Thank you. Eunice, did you want to come back on?
Sure, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jenny. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, first of all, about the consultation, actually I couldn't find anything in the report. I guess has been done by different team, and I'm happy to look into that and come back and let you know. About the idling, your ward member made me aware of that, and they're asking for some sign to be put on the area in order to stop idling while you are waiting. So it is something we would like to look into that as well. I think you raised a lot of points. And I'm very pleased to say is currently we have some money has been given to us from TfL grant in order to look into the Sunray State. And I think as a part of that, we will then consider all that you have raised. But Janine, there is a parking problem there. Parents do intend to park, and we are concerned about parking both sides of the road is going to make it very difficult for emergency services to go through. So therefore, maybe, as the ward member later on will be explained, maybe we'll not go for as it is. We can definitely reduce it in order to tackle that during the problem when it is happening. But let's do that. Then after that, we can consider all other points you have raised about the disabled bay and all that, because that's a different request and different things we need to go through. Yeah, we are considering all when we do the study, which we are already starting on that, and I need to agree with the ward member and the chair on the way how we're going to move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eunice. Thank you, Janine, for your questions. That's been really helpful.
Could I just point out that I've got 5 hats that I'm wearing. So I am the resident and allotment holder, an advocate for the users of the hall, a member of the SECRA committee, and a business of Sunray Recycle CIC. So
it's busy lady. Thank you. So the committee is asked to note the comments and objections received as set out in paragraph 1 to 7 and officers' comments as set out in the report on pages B7 to B9. The committee is asked to resolve that 1, the objections received be set aside, and 2, introduction of double yellow lines and school keep clear markings be approved, and the objectors informed. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kirsch. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there. So, as anyone except for Councillor Grocott and Bainan wish to speak at all on this item? No? Okay, then I'll pass it over to Councillor Grocott.
Thank you. So when we found out about this as members, we consulted with the management of the CIC who manage the community centre, and on behalf of, they spoke on behalf of the business owner of the dance school, and we've also been in contact with other residents who've contacted us directly. So a lot of the points you were raising, Janine, we've also mirror your concerns. So as a result of that, we are putting forward an amendment proposal, please, Chair.
Certainly.
Shall I?
Yes, if you'd like to go ahead with that.
So I think the first is to remove double yellow lines. Sorry, I have to change my glasses. So to remove the double yellow line on the side opposite the grass verge to make it a single yellow line. And we don't feel, having spoken to people and received the feedback, that it requires it to be continuous from 8:30 till 4:30. We know from the feedback from the school and the headmaster that there is an issue, and as Janine, you and I have spoken about before, there is an issue with idling and there is an issue with access to the allotments. So our amendment is that, as Eunice has alluded to, we've requested for the highways team to put up 2 no idling car signs either side of the road, that the parking restrictions will only apply to one side of the road, not where there's already permission for cars to park with one wheel on the curb, and that the restrictions will only be during school drop-off and collection times, which would be 8:30 till 9:30. And then we amended the afternoon one in consultation with the dance school to make to suggest 2:30 till 3:30, because the dance classes start at 4 o'clock. So that will enable the users of the school to park sensibly, pick up their children before the users of the hall. 8:30 till 9:30 and 2:30 till 3:30. School finishes at 3:15, so we feel that's adequate time. I will come back to some of the other points you made in a minute, Janine, but that's the amendment as it stands.
Thank you. Do I have a
I'm
second?
happy, yeah, I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor. Eunice, have you got anything to add to that?
No, I think we can start with that.
Yep.
And then we review it. If it needs to be taken further, we will. So for now, we are happy to take the board members' recommendation, and we will review it and come back if there is a need for additional restriction.
Can I get clarity on the proposal? So if I can just say what I've heard, the proposal is it's 8:30 to 9:30, 2:30 to 3:30, remove the double yellow line on one side, opposite, so, and replace with a single yellow line, two no idling signs, and I don't know where you said those were going to be, and parking restrictions on one side only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll go to the resolution. Can we take that as a unanimous, or does the committee wish to go to a vote? Agreed. Agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much. Before I move forward, yes, Councillor Kirsch.
I have a very brief point of order to make, Kevin, if I may. On the relevant portfolio holder for this report, it says Councillor Nicola Nardelli, who is not portfolio holder for climate action and sustainable transport, but portfolio holder for sustainable transport, waste and recycling. So just on the nitty-gritty side of things, that's just a minor amendment.
Thank you for the point of order. Thank you,
Councillor Grocott.
Just to pick up some of the other points that Janine was making, so we are in consultation with the CIC Centre about disabled bays and provision for disabled parking. And as Eunice said, we've also got a cross-scheme sunray issue being looked at. The yellow hatches on the ramp is a really good idea, so we'll make sure that we specifically look at that. I mean, Eunice and I did talk about this, and we did talk about that specifically with the allotment holders in Victoria, and that was one of the reasons we talked about, is that being an issue. So we'll look into that with the available money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. We'll go to item 9 on the agenda, which is community grants, which you'll find on Appendix C of the agenda pack. We have one neighbourhood grant application tonight, so I'm going to ask Richard to introduce the applications, and then up with the application, after which members will be able to ask questions of the applicant. Would you like to come forward? Thank you. And Richard.
Thank you very much, Chair. As you've mentioned, we've got one community grant application this evening, and I'll be brief. That's from the New Area New Era Community Project CIC to support their Reach for the Sky project, as detailed in the report. Justine is here, as you've said. Members will see via the report that a request is being made for £3,000 in order to enable the project to support young carers and their families in the south of the borough. And in essence, as you'll hear from Justine, would complement the work carried on in other parts of the borough by RBKs, as we know. Section 7 within my report mentions some of the activities, focusing on enjoyment, inclusion, confidence building and emotional well-being, rather than competitive and performance sport. Details of the expenditure for the project are contained within the table in paragraph 9, and paragraph 10 outlines the aims and objectives of the Neighbourhood Community Plan that are supported by this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. It's a bit weird, this bit, because it then asks to invite public comments. So has anyone got any, not that it's weird that I'm asking for public comments, but it's weird that I've asked for the applicant to come here and then ask for public comments. Has anyone got any questions or anything they'd like to put to? Yeah. Justine, yes, absolutely. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Justine, and just if you've got 5 minutes to tell us about what it is, everything you do, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. I'm from New Era Community Projects. I'm sure you know of Michelle's and the team's brilliant work. They run community cafes in the south of the borough, and also community fridges, which opens 2 days a week, which is at St Mary's Hall. Michelle had a brainwave last year that she noticed a need within the borough that young carers and their families weren't really being looked after. I think there was some provision at Busy Bees, but that closed down a few years ago. And also young carers had the provision of a minibus for some time that would take the young carers and their families to the Searchlight, which is their main sort of hub in New Malden. Okay. which is in New Malden. So the Young Carers projects don't generally run out of there, and they tend to be for slightly older children and young people, and they do a fantastic job. And what they found when the bus stopped, that the people stopped coming, because getting from here to sort of Kingston side in an evening after school, just a couple of buses, and the expense, it's just too difficult. So they found that a lot of people who are registered as young carers in the south of the borough weren't attending a lot of the activities that they have on. So Michelle asked me to come on board, and we got in touch with the Young Carers Project, and they were delighted that we were wanting to set up a provision. So in October, we started the Sky Cafe, which is South Kingston Young Carers Cafe, limitless possibilities. And we run it at St Mary's once a month on a Tuesday from after school club 3:30 to 5:30 for 5 to 12-year-olds. And their families, which is really important. And the reason we do it on a Tuesday is when they come in, they welcome, they can have food, we do an activity, and then they have access to the pantry, which also runs on a Tuesday, so they can then go shopping and get whatever they need. So that was the starting point of what we were doing. So we were working with Kingston Young Carers Project. A member of their staff attends each of our sessions, and they take all the bookings and stuff like that. So we're working in partnership with them. And what we've also found is during the summer, during the school holidays, that they are massively oversubscribed for a lot of their activities. And again, from south of the borough, they get quite a small uptake. So what we wanted to do with Reach for the Sky, which is an activity, an inclusive physical activity and well-being programme, that we want to get the people, the community we've got already coming into the cafe, plus more, and get them to come along during the school holidays, and add another activity for the Young Carers Project, because they always struggle with cash and getting, you know, they've got 500 young carers registered, and to get everybody on board with activities is quite difficult. So we wanted to add to the provision that they could offer. So we came up with this, and we had a chat with the families that attend our cafe. We had 15 families at our Christmas gathering and over 50 people. And we asked them what other activities that they would like. And they're very keen on sort of inclusive, sort of fun activities that they maybe trying yoga for the first time, or non-competitive sports, but everything that's all-inclusive because they are families. So you might have a member who's in a wheelchair, you might have a child in a wheelchair, or whatever the issue is within their family group. Not an issue really, but whatever the dynamic is within the family group. So it's really important that it's all-inclusive. And we wanted to apply for the money so that we could get people on board. We've got fantastic volunteers, which means that we can put on these sessions, but we would like to bring in some sort of professionals to put on really good activities which are specifically for our group of people, really. So that's it. Oh, and we're going to do 6 sessions. This is what we were aiming for. So we originally wanted to do it over the summer, but in actual fact, it would be good to have it in half-term, Christmas, spring half-term and Easter. So that would be 6 weeks. We'd hope to have 25 to 35 people per session. So overall, that would be 150 to 210 people across the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. I know you were nervous, so well, you did really, really, really well. Thank you. So, if there are, now that Justine has explained what the application is for, is there any questions from members of the public at all?
I'd just like to say what a fantastic job they do. Because I go to the lunch club, but I go to CDRA. I can't get up to 2:30.
No. Thank you, Mr. Robb. So I'll invite members of the committee who wish to speak. Does anyone want to make ask any questions or make any comments at all? Councillor Andreas Kirsch.
Thanks again for presenting and also waiting so long until this item appeared on the agenda finally. No. It's you mentioned Michelle and the great work she and the team are doing, and this is really a lovely project. And again, you highlighted, the disadvantages for young carer in south of the Borough taking part in the activities in New Malden. So I really welcome this project. Sounds like a really brilliant idea. So, and like you just said, you want to bother the summer holidays doing it in half term and spring half term and Easter. And with the many sessions, up to 130 young people you would reach. So that sounds really brilliant. So yeah, no, thanks for the great idea.
Oh, thank you.
Councillor Kirsch.
Really amazing, great idea, honestly. So only a tiny question. You have given the ages of 5 to 12 years.
Yep.
So just why this particular age bracket?
That sort of age group. So because of the way we're set up, so we would have one person from Kingston Young Carers Project. So we wanted children to come with their families, whereas as they get older, there's a lot more provision for them at Searchlights. Ultimately, if we get enough funding and the longevity of it, we do want to run a youth club as well. But there is the youth club Achieving for Children that's in the Chesington. So there is quite a lot of provision for young people, which is amazing, even though they're oversubscribed at 70 children per session. But this seemed to be a group that wasn't really being catered for. But it is something that we want to do, is to expand and do older children as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I always like to just plug there are 2 Achieving for Children youth clubs. There's one on the Sunray as well as the great one in Chessington. So I just had a question. You mentioned that some of the funding wanted to go towards having a professional. Is that what the £570 is, where it's documented and the table was being the project lead? Is that
no,
who's
the
being
project
mentioned?
lead would be for myself as a session coordinator. The activity session staff and facilitator would be 720, which is approximately £120 per session over the 6 sessions.
Okay, so the professional staff are the activity staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Councillor Boehner?
Yeah, just very quickly, thank you for coming. Thank you for being so patient. And it's really important work you're doing, and carers are often forgotten and overlooked, and particularly, I mean, just thinking like 5-year-olds and people so young who have to have this responsibility thrust upon them. So, and they can be, just forgotten, people don't even realise. So it's, just to say well done and thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you very much. So I will now move this from the chair. The following recommendation. That the committee considers an application for a neighbourhood community grant of £3,000 for the New Era Community Project CIC in support of the Reach for the Sky project as set out in paragraphs 5 to 10 of this report. Do I have a seconder, please? Yes, thank you, Councillor Kirsch. So if everyone is happy and has spoken, I will move to the resolution. I think, from my personal view, I think Michelle is amazing. She does a fantastic job with so many things going on. I don't know how she does it, and this just adds to what already a fantastic job is being done. So thank you so much. So following that, can I take this as unanimous for the £3,000? Oh, Councillor Mercer's disappeared, so do I need to wait for Councillor Mercer? Kevin? We're going to have to wait for Councillor Mercer, okay. So we'll just give him a round of applause as he walks back in.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the people present, that was unanimous. So so thank you very much, and we've awarded that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So item 10 is neighbourhood working arrangements, 25-26. 26, 25, 27, that's not been updated. The report concerns the arrangements for the committee managing its business for the new municipal year and up to May 2030. There are 2 decisions to be made. 1, whether to establish a planning subcommittee to consider smaller planning applications, and 2, whether to apply guillotine to meetings of the committee, and if so, at what time it should be applied. At the 7th of June 2022 meeting of this committee, the committee resolved to apply guillotine of 10:30. At the 12th of June 2025 meeting of this committee, the committee agreed to de-establish the planning subcommittee for 2025-26 municipal year. I will now move from the chair the recommendations at the front of the report on page A1. The committee is asked to resolve 1, whether to establish a planning subcommittee as permitted under paragraph 3.12 of the terms of reference for neighbourhood committees, and 2, whether a guillotine should be applied to the meetings of the committee, and if so, at what time should it be applied. Do I have a seconder, please? Yes. Thank you, Councillor Kirsch. Yeah. Would members of the committee who wish to speak please raise your hands? No? Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Kirsch.
I think as we are asked which way we want to go on the first point, I would suggest that we are keeping this old resolution that we don't have any planning subcommittees. We had, I think, over the last 4 years, only 2 planning applications coming towards our committee, so we can deal with them in our normal meetings. So I would suggest we are not going for planning subcommittees.
Yeah, I would just agree with that, and I think what it means is that we'll have more frequent meetings to discuss the matters relating to the whole of South of the Borough if we combine the planning in the main meetings, otherwise we get half.
Thank you very much. And has anyone got any comments with regards to the guillotine? Are we looking to remain at 10:30? Thank you very much. So to conclude, we will continue with the suggestion that we will not have a planning subcommittee, and our neighbourhood meetings will be a mix of neighbourhood business and planning applications, and a guillotine at 10:30 be applied to meetings of this neighbourhood committee. Yeah, can I take that as unanimous? Yep, agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So item 11, we move on to Council Award Funding Report, which you can find at Appendix E of the agenda pack. The purpose of the report is for the committee to agree on the Council Award funding arrangements for the 26-27 municipal year. The committee is asked to consider whether it wishes to amend its working arrangements for the allocation of the Council Award funding. Richard, and I pass over to you to introduce the report.
Many thanks, Chair. I mean, put concisely, given the historically the committee's view, this is a report that asks whether you wish to retain the current process of allocating council award funding at £2,000 per councillor for allocation as you wish to do so for local causes to support your ward and events on your wards, or whether you wish to explore other options of utilising the funds, such as pooling it completely and making the decision at neighbourhood committee, either just as a pooled set of council award funding or in support of the neighbourhood community grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. So would members of the committee who would like to speak on this raise your hand? Councillor Grocott, Councillor Kirsch. Councillor Grocott.
Thank you. I would propose that we keep our current arrangement of ward councillors having their individual £2,000, and as we do in our ward, we choose to combine that so that we can cover a greater number of local projects based on hyper-local issues in our ward.
Thank you. Councillor Andreas Kirsch.
Just want to second that in that case.
Okay. Thank you very much. Has anyone else got anything they would like to add to that? Okay, thank you very much. So the resolution is to keep the situation status quo as it is, and we would have our individual ward funding. Can I take that as unanimous? Agreed. Thank you very much indeed. Item 12, I'm going to pass over to Richard for his last neighbourhood manager's report.
It's a blank bit of paper. Yeah. I'll be very brief on this, Chair, just two things really. One, I'm sure the committee would like to congratulate the organising committee of Celebrate Chessington event again for a marvellous event just gone in the 28th of May. We know that it's singularly the biggest event across the south of the borough. One plea for me, though, going forward, you don't know unless you're involved in these things that the planning for next year event has actually already sort of informally started, and formal meetings will be in the diary very soon. And a challenge always at these events is to get people to do what I call the heavy work, the lifting and shifting, especially putting away at the end. People don't mind coming at the beginning of the day, but it's very much harder to get volunteers at the end. And my plea is, if anyone's sitting here in our audience or online when they're watching, thinks they would like to volunteer, we only need about a dozen people in total, but it will really spread the burden. There's a significant risk of the event not being able to go ahead if we don't get enough volunteers. So please, just take a moment of time to look at the website, which is celebratechessington.co.uk. Top right-hand corner, you'll see a little button that says volunteer. Put your button on it and volunteer. It is hard work. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Anyone that does it before knows it's hard work. But by Jove, it's rewarding, so please do it. That's number one. Number two, and the last item ever, from me, you'll be pleased to know, is I just want to put a shout out for UK Power Networks. They've been pretty good with their communication about all the work that's been done. We've heard that others maybe haven't so good, but there is a public event next week, Monday the 15th, at St Catherine of Siena's Church Hall on the Leatherhead Road, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to just let you know about what the next phase is. I urge people to go along and engage with that because knowledge is power. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so go to item 13, the Works Programme. This is for members' information. And then item 14, urgent items authorised by the Chair. Well, I'm going to ask CDRA to come forward, and I know you've got something you want to say.
It's ticking. On behalf of CDRA and the residents of the South of the Borough community, I'd like to thank Richard for all his support and help over all the years. He's always been there, and we've always, when we've got an issue, we're always going to have a cuppa at the Kingston at World Cafe, and to resolve it. And I just wish him well in retirement, and just thank him for everything he's done for us, really. And we will miss him. Thank you. So we've signed a card, and there's a bottle in there, but there's also a box of chocolates for management, because I know that it's not just yourself, it's a team. I've got management behind me, and my neighbours have got a medal for her taking one for the team. So I know that it's important. So enjoy, but most of all, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. And I would just like to add a few words, if I may. On behalf of myself and my fellow neighbourhood councillors, Richard, you've been an incredible incredible source of support over the years, whether it was helping us navigate challenges, offering clear guidance, or simply being someone we could rely on. You've always gone above and beyond. What really stands out is your commitment to the community. You haven't just done the job, you've built relationships, worked closely with the community groups, and genuinely made a difference to the people we all serve. That kind of dedication doesn't go unnoticed, and it certainly won't be forgotten. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I know I speak for many when I say you will be greatly missed, and we wish you a very happy and well-deserved retirement, hopefully filled with new adventures, plenty of holidays, not that he hasn't got those anyway, and time with the family, and no emails. Thank you again for everything. We really do appreciate it. Thank you. So there's a bottle, a nice, I think the flowers really are for Mrs. Dean, the long-serving suffering. And there's something in there for you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I'm very touched. Thank you.
So, that being no further business, the meeting is now closed at 9:48. Thank you for everyone who came tonight and those watching on the online stream. Thank you.